Big thanks to Kamado Joe for sponsoring this episode.
If you want to make your barbecue extra special and if you want to surprise people, then you're going to need to make this sauce. And of course, I'm talking about the Rodney Scott barbecue sauce. If you don't know who Rodney Scott is, that is okay, but the most important thing is that you know about this recipe because it's freaking amazing. It's super simple and super cheap to make, so let's just get started. I'm super excited about this. It's my first try. It's gonna be like, oh, I had it upside down. It's just a gas burner. I know what you're thinking, but I'm super excited about it because this thing is gonna give me more power than anything else. Outdoor cooking, wind, cold, and of course I like to cook on my barbecues, but if I'm not cooking on my barbecue, I just wanna whip up a quick barbecue sauce. I like to use one of these cookers, and then you have the really crappy ones, and then you have this. And I can't tell you what it is. It's a Chinese brand, random, but it has so much power. It's not sold in Europe. You can't get one. I'm so sorry. So I apologize for getting you excited. I'm excited. Just so be happy for me that I own one. It ignites it again. Probably gonna eat gas bottles, but I don't care. It starts with putting 2 cups of distilled vinegar in a pan. Carolina is all about vinegar-based barbecue sauce, and it's not like the regular thick ketchup-y sauces. It is really light and really wet. It's not an after sauce, it's a cooking sauce, mopping sauce. Then I'm gonna light it up. Oh yeah, there it goes, my beauty. Ooh. I'm gonna slice a whole lemon, add it to the vinegar. I'm going to add 2 teaspoons of cayenne pepper, 2 teaspoons of ground black pepper, 2 teaspoons of red chili flakes, and a cup of sugar. Oh yeah. And that sugar will work its magic. It's basically what it all evolves around. Woo! Just got a little whiff of it. This is going to be exciting. And as you can see, this is very easy and simple to make. Now I'm just going to let this come up to a boil so everything dissolves and get married together. It's going to be one big happy Rodney sauce. Of course, I selected some of the best steaks, pork steaks, in combination with that Rodney Scott sauce. Whoa. Let's open this up. This is part of the pork shoulder, also known in the Netherlands as the procureur. And this is one of the finest pieces of pork you can find. It has lots of fat, it has lots of flavor, and it is cheap. Normally I will cut my steaks like this, so I get nice pork chops, shoulder chops, but in this case we're gonna mix it up. Today I want them as big as I can get them, so I'm just gonna take this whole piece and cut it in half, thereby creating the largest steak that I can cut out of this piece. It's still thin enough to call it a steak, but it's still large enough to be very impressive when I serve it up to my guests. I'm gonna do the same for this one. Now, normally, if you do this with steaks, you gotta be looking out for the grains, how the grains running in the meat. But as this is a pork shoulder, the grains are running in all kinds of directions. This one is running in that direction, this one is coming straight up, and that's why this pork shoulder is gonna be cooked until it's almost fall apart tender. And then it doesn't matter in which the grains run, it only matters how tender and juicy it is. Now, of course, these are gonna need some seasoning. That's why we're going to make the PitmasterX barbecue beef rub. Yeah, you can put it on pork as well. It starts with 2 tablespoons of salt, 2 tablespoons of black pepper, a tablespoon of paprika powder, a tablespoon of onion powder, and half a tablespoon of garlic powder. Mix that up, and that's how you create the barbecue beef rub from PitmasterX. Now, of course, you can find a recipe for this on our website if you want to look it up. But it's just so easy to make and it tastes so freaking delicious. Now, before I'm gonna put that seasoning on my pork steaks, I'm going to wet them. I'm already gonna utilize that delicious barbecue sauce. I'm gonna use it as a sticking device to get my pork steaks already nice and moist so that rub will stick to it like glue. Get it on there, and it's really a mopping sauce, so you can see how well it works if you mop it. See the color change of the pork steaks, then sprinkle on the seasoning and see how it absorbs that barbecue sauce, how it makes the rub stick to the pork. It works so well. And that's the trick to building up lots and lots of flavor, which of course barbecue is about. I'm gonna flip these around, do the same thing on the other side. Get them nice and wet, some of those chili flakes on, the pepper goes on. These are now ready to go. All we need to do now is fire up the barbecue. And I'll be cooking on that beautiful red head. Come here, baby. And I'm going to set up this beauty by creating indirect heat. First thing that I'm going to do is take out the grill grates and the heat deflectors. Remove the old ash from the last cook. Put in some new Kamado Joe Big Block. Put it into fire starters and light it up. Once the charcoal's lit, it's time to add some smoke wood. And I'm staying fruity with this chunk of apple wood. I'm just going to add it to the center. Then I'm going to put in the heat deflectors and the grill grates. Now my pork steaks can go on. The perfect fit for this barbecue. And of course I'm going to stick in a thermometer so I can keep my eye on that core temperature. Now it's time to close the lid. Slide down the top vent to about 2 stripes open. Go to the bottom vent, close it all the way to 1 finger open. I'm going to let the temperature come up to around 120 degrees Celsius, which is almost 250 degrees Fahrenheit. 3 hours have gone by. In between, I sauced them and build up flavor more and more, just like Rodney Scott would do. He would just take his mop and go to work. Just adding flavor. And as you can see, all that sugar and vinegar is sticking to the pork. And the moisture evaporates while all of the flavor just sticks to the pork. And that's how you build up a beautiful, delicious bark on barbecue. Adding flavor, making it even better than it was before. And the secret of this trick is that while you're building up flavor, you're also adding acidity, and that's balancing out the fat inside that pork. The thermometer is reading a temperature of around 96 degrees Celsius, which means these are done. They are fully cooked because at 98 degrees Celsius they will be fall apart tender, and that means I'm going to take these off the barbecue and let them rest. One hour of resting, and this is the end result. Let's open it up together and take a look. Oh, that looks freaking amazing. That is what I want if I'm thinking about pork steaks. And it's all about getting color, getting flavor on my pork steaks. That is what I want. Sometimes I just slather mustard on it and put a rub on it. But now with the Rodney Scott barbecue sauce, you're gonna have a much better looking crust because all the sugar that sticks to it just holds on to the flavor that's in the sauce, and all of it just, well, layers on, layers on, layers on. You gotta do this multiple times to achieve this. It's a little bit of extra work, but I think it's well worth the effort. But what does it taste like? That's right, good question. They look so fantastic, nice and juicy. Look at that. If the juices are still running on the outside, that's a good sign of this being very, very tasty. Now, I could slice one up, or Oh, look at that. Nice smoke ring, juicy pork underneath, and then the crusty bark on the outside. Look at that. That is what you want from pork. It's not fall apart tender yet, but you can shred it just like with ribs. These are absolute perfection. And then with that Rodney Scott sauce building up that bark for you, what more do you want? Imagine Rodney Scott eating that every day. Of course, he has to do the taste test of all the restaurants. Rodney, you should do something with that sauce. We got something going on here.